Welcome to
Dropbear and Panda.
Save the World.
Episode
68. 68 episodes.
That means we survived Maui.
We did.
Yeah.
We are back.
We are back from Maui.
Yeah. And I'm in quarantine.
No.
Well, am I? Aren't I?
We were for 5 hours. We'll get into that later, but things change at a drop of a hat.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen next.
With isolation and not isolation. Are you on isolation? Are you sick? Are you not sick? Do you have it? Do you not have it?
Right. What do you do with it when you get it?
The thing is I'm going to just mention this really quickly before we get into our Maui trip. You might hear people shoveling outside because we also are in the middle of a spring storm in Calgary because that's the way Calgary is. We've never really experienced a pandemic worldwide before, so
right, nobody has. I'm no pandemicologist.
Panda-emic. Get it? See what I did there? So information changes at a drop of a hat. We were quarantined and then not quarantined.
We're not sure, really. So
we're 12 hours too late for a quarantine, but then we were and then we weren't. So
yeah,
I do have a cold.
Yeah,
but I got that before.
Right.
We traveled, so
let's talk about that later.
Yeah.
Let's shelve the pandemic for now.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
But it's coming.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just got back from Maui, and let's talk about Maui because that is my new favorite place in America.
I love it.
Yeah. It was so frickin' good. America, you done good.
Oh my gosh. It was the greatest ever.
Yeah. And so most people know about Maui as the Canadian island of the Hawaiian Islands.
Yeah. Apparently that's where all the Canadians go.
I can see why. It feels very much like Canada, but warm and tropical.
Good day, welcome to the Great White North Canadian Corner. I'm Bob McKenzie, this is my brother Doug.
How's it going, eh?
The people were amazing.
And it wasn't super humid. My hair didn't do the Philippines.
Well, you're Scottish fro.
Yeah, I didn't get the glorious curls that I was actually hoping for.
Yeah.
And it didn't get worse either, but it was the weather was perfect. The water temperature was perfect.
Yeah.
Everything was perfect.
We spent about 90% of our time in the ocean.
Yeah. And we saw turtles.
Oh my God, did we ever?
See turtles everywhere.
We have been wanting to save turtles forever.
I think they saved us.
They saved me for sure. That one did.
Okay, well we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But so first of all, we flew from Calgary to Og. YYC to Og.
Yeah, Kahului.
Kahului Airport is Og. OGG.
Don't know if that's how you pronounce it. Og for sure, but Kahalui, I don't know. Our command of the Polynesian language is suspect.
It is terrible. I just
we'll
ended
apologize
up going bit most of the time. So I'm sorry if people find that offensive because I just couldn't pronounce anything.
Yeah.
It was about seven and a half
hours.
Yeah, about 7 hours.
Yeah, give or take.
So I hate flying longer than I have to.
It wasn't a terrible flight. We had some good seats. We had good leg room.
It's just 7 hours is a long time.
Yeah, we were one row shy of first class.
I was really glad that we weren't flying to the Philippines because that was 24 hours and that was terrible.
Yeah.
But we got there, we got out of the airport, and the airport is old. It reminded me of like a sportsplex from the 80s.
Totally. But
80s,
it was 70s,
amazing.
80s.
Yeah, we arrived at about 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And the warm winds and it was amazing.
And the whatever those flowers are, you could smell like the flowers.
Oh my gosh. But we got there too late to eat any food, so we were starving. So we ended up in Maui at King's Barbecue.
Oh my, right. Okay, so we were down in KIHEI.
Yeah.
And so first we ended up in a tiki lounge because they were open.
And Tiki Lounge.
Hello. And
shout out to them, they're amazing.
Yeah.
We went there a few times.
We did.
Because amazing.
And there's also Bradley Cooper was there.
He's a lizard. I love him.
Anyway, so so we're there tiki lounging and we're looking for food, and the waitress and I forget her name. She was lovely, but she said you could go to King's Barbecue. Like, King's Barbecue, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So we did, And King's Barbecue is a little hole-in-the-wall Chinese food restaurant.
Yeah, and I thought she was talking about like barbecue,
Yeah.
like Texas barbecue or something. But no, it was the best little Chinese food place
It
ever.
was so good.
It was a little kitchen,
Yeah.
but the rest of the restaurant was this open
Picnic
patio.
tables.
Yeah.
It was so good. So we didn't know what to order. So I think we ordered like, you got some chicken.
Yes.
I was just in the mood for pork stir fry rice.
Yeah.
But they came out as freaking huge.
Oh yeah, size of our heads.
Yeah. So we had late dinner, and then we had like breakfast and lunch the next day.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
We're going to give some shout outs to some local places in KIHEI
Yeah.
and the rest of Maui because it was just amazing.
Yeah, it was outstanding.
If anyone ever goes to Maui, and I thought that we were basically the last two Canadians who haven't been to Maui.
Probably.
I'm wrong. I know a couple other people who haven't been.
You should go.
Yeah, it's amazing. What I've learned about Maui is, and we talked to some locals as well. The number of people who are from Maui who live there still
Yeah.
are few.
Yeah.
The basic feeling I got is everyone are Mauians. If I'm
Yeah.
pronouncing that correctly. We talked to one gentleman.
Mauians.
Yeah, we talked to one gentleman in this dive bar.
Love the dive bar.
And
Maui's best dive bar, I think.
yeah, Maui's best dive bar, which was called KAHALE'S dive bar or KAHALE'S dive bar. And I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. And it's actually called a dive bar, and they call it KIHEI's or Maui's best dive bar.
Yeah.
And he said that he's originally Mexican, but he said, unlike in the rest of the U.S., in Maui, he is just Mauian.
Right.
He was a little drunk, and we sang songs together.
Oh, baby, you got what I need. But you say he just a friend. But you say he just a friend. Oh, baby, you got what I need.
Because there was only like 8 of us in this bar. But he basically said that in Maui, they're all just Mauians. And I thought that was really great. And that's kind of, I think, like the general idea that they have in Maui. It's a small island. You can get from one side to the other across one way in 20 minutes. If you go some of the roads, it's like 3 hours because they're terrifying.
Could be 3 days.
Yeah. But so you can do all the hikes, all the swims and everything by the time you're like 13 if you were born there. So a lot of people do want to get off and go to the mainland. And
I can see that.
Yeah,
we ran into that one kid out in the surf at McKenna
Matt.
Beach. Yeah. And, he's like young guy, 27. He grew up on the island.
Yes.
But it was on his way. He came back for vacation, and he's going back to California, which is where he lives and works as a weed delivery man. But he was saying that, basically you can do everything in a year. Once you're done, what else is there to do? Mm-hmm. And I suggest that you could just enjoy surfing and scuba diving.
Well, and he said that he used to get like, why would you ever leave? This place is amazing. Yeah. But it's probably like living in a small town, right? Like, you live there, you graduate high school, and you're like, oh my God, I just want to get out.
Yeah. And I want to go to a big city. But I mean, you got Honolulu. I've never been there, but, that's.
But he's probably also done that.
Right.
He's done Hawaii, he's done Oahu, he's done everything, by a certain point, you just want to get out.
And if you look at a map of Hawaii, and we did this on the flight back, it's literally in the middle of the ocean. There's nothing around it.
No, exactly. So what he was saying, which is what I was just going to say, if you wanted to go anywhere, it's hundreds of dollars and at least 7 hours to fly. So you can fly to Japan.
Yeah.
You can fly to Australia.
Yep.
You can fly to LA or Vancouver. Yeah. But it's hours and hours and hours, right?
Expensive.
And even then, if you want to fly or take a boat to Oahu, it's still $100.
Yep.
And I know people who have complained about living on like Vancouver Island or Victoria.
And feeling isolated from the rest of the world.
And you're still not that far from mainland BC
or
mainland Canada, but you still feel isolated, right? So I can only imagine, even though you're in paradise.
Yeah.
And I mean, Hawaii still has its like rough and tumble places.
For sure.
But I mean, you're super isolated.
Yeah.
Like literally in the middle of nowhere. And I learned, which I didn't know, there were still islands up until 1990 that were still being bombed by the U.S. military for
Testing.
target practice and testing, right? So it like insane, just crazy.
It's stuff that you learn.
You know what else we saw?
What?
Humpback whales.
Oh my God, they're
from the shore.
They're like gophers out there.
Yep.
They're literally everywhere.
Everywhere.
You cannot spit without hitting a whale.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
We didn't try though.
No, don't spit on whales.
Just so you know.
Yeah. We ended up in Molokini Crater, and we took a early morning boat ride out there. And
by KANANI.
Yeah, by KANANI.
Company called KANANI.
And so the deal was that they basically leave out of KIHEI, which goes right across to the crater, whereas the other tour companies start way up in, I forget what that port town is, but they basically have to come 45 minutes from the north to get to
45 to an
Molokini
hour,
Crater. So basically, you pay a bit of extra money to get to be the first people at Molokini Crater, and you get to snorkel around and stuff like that. And my biggest takeaway, there wasn't a whole lot of sea life there. I was kind of expecting more and more colorful reefs for sure. But the water was great. It's a protected area. And you can hear the humpback singing, which was freaking amazing. I've been in the ocean like all over the world, and I've never heard that. And I remember diving down and being like,
Dory, this is not whale. You're speaking like upset stomach.
Maybe I should try humpback.
No, don't try humpback. All right. You actually sound sick.
Maybe louder, huh?
Don't do that.
Too much orca.
and it came up, and I'm just like, did you hear that? And you're just like, oh my God.
Well, at first I was like, no, I can't hear anything, but I had to hold my breath.
Yeah.
Right? Because when I'm snorkeling up above, you just keep breathing, right? And then as soon as I held my breath, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
I speak whale.
Yeah. And you made an interesting point about the lack of color on the coral. What I didn't realize was that the color changes when the light hits the ocean.
Right.
It actually changes the color of the coral.
Yeah, diffuses it.
Yeah, so when you see photos of the coral, they change the photos to make the coral look the colors that they're supposed to be.
Right.
But when you're snorkeling or diving, you don't see those colors because...
Yeah. And you can get filters for your camera and filters for your goggles to allow you to see that colors, because I think it basically takes out the red wavelength.
Right.
But you can basically put that back in with color corrected lenses.
Yeah,
and
so the
stuff.
first time when we went to Molokini Crater again, I was like, is this this coral can't be dead.
No. It was quite alive.
Yeah, but a lot of it looked brown and yellow, and I was like, this doesn't look good. And then I was like, well, maybe it's because it's from a volcano crater, and it's like it's different from in the Caribbean, and maybe that's why it's a different kind of coral, maybe. But yeah, I was shocked at how not colorful it was.
Yeah. And I should say there was lots of fish swimming around. There's lots of life.
Yeah.
But we saw more life other places as well. Another thing too, every tour that we signed up for, we had to sign a waiver about the protection of their reefs, which I really appreciated. Like, they take that shit seriously, more so than we've ever seen in our travels around the world.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you need to 100% agree that, you're going to use reef safe sunscreen. You cannot touch the reef. You cannot take anything from the reef. You cannot step on the reef. You cannot it is a huge, long thing that you need to read and agree to. And I love it. And they also say that before you go out, to review the fact that, yes, you signed it, and yes, this is what it means. So kudos to Hawaii for, making sure that people know how precious those reefs are.
Well, they even gave us the lowdown on when you see a turtle.
Yeah.
This is what you do. And they used to eat turtles. And turtles used to be scared of the humans, and you didn't see a lot of them. And now that they don't, now that the turtles are protected, turtles are like, dope-a-dope-a-dope.
Oh, they will drive right through you.
Yeah, and
it's
they
your
actually
job to get out of the way.
They make that point. They're like, turtles will mow you down, so you have to stay within at least 5 feet away or something like that from a turtle, because they give no shits and they will just plow you over. So
now they're not mean about it.
No, they just
They're doing their thing.
They want to go that way, they'll go that way.
Yeah.
You have to get out of the way. And it's a little hard to get out of the way when you're in the water with fins.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay, Google, how far away is Hawaii from anything?
On the website 50states.com, they say, Hawaii is 2,390 miles from California, 3,850 miles from Japan, 4,900 miles from China, and 5,280 miles from the Philippines.
Wow.
See, it's like the middle of nowhere.
You know, you look at the globe and you're like, oh, there's some stuff in the middle. And I think that's Hawaii, but I never really paid attention to it. And, you know, focusing on the fact that we're going to be there and we're now stuck in the middle of an ocean, I was like, holy shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If anything goes down, like if there's a tsunami, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Where's the high water mark?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if there's a tsunami, I mean, the mountains in Hawaii are high.
Oh, yeah.
So, or the volcanoes or whatever you want to call them, right? So you can get high, but not all of it will get wiped out. But I mean, you're in the middle of nowhere. And I remember sitting on a beach once and just thinking like, yeah, we are literally like far away from everything.
Because in KIHEI, we're on the west side of the island and you're looking
southwest. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're sort of looking towards Vietnam-ish.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, really, really cool.
Yeah.
But what was your favorite part about Maui? What was your favorite part about the trip?
Now it's time for Dropbear and Panda's reviews.
Oh. Well, I loved the fact that I felt safe there.
Yeah.
The ocean was perfect. The beaches didn't look like when you see photos. Like you know that they're doctored and the white sands weren't as white when you saw them.
Not like Boracay white.
Yeah, but even when we saw pictures of the Philippine beaches, they're still not quite what you see. I felt safe there. I loved the little restaurant district that we were at.
Yeah, it's so great.
But really, the safety was the greatest thing. You had all the amazing parts of the Philippines.
Yeah.
You had the palm trees, you had the weather, you had the beaches, but I felt okay leaving my stuff on the beach and going swimming, right? Yeah. And that was, I think, what was really, really great about it.
Also super clean.
Super clean.
Like, man, they care about their island, which is so cool.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, the people didn't run you over. Like, it was lovely. It was really, really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my thing. I didn't feel unsafe at all in the least.
That's great. You spent a lot of time on the water too, which was amazing.
Yeah. And I didn't feel panicky about snorkeling.
Yeah.
Where I did in the Philippines as well. They felt the companies that we went with really took care of you.
Yeah. To the point where we went out on our own several times.
Yeah. Yeah. It was wonderful. Despite the fact that I knew that there were tiger sharks in the area a few months ago, and a couple attacks, but
and to be clear, we did a little bit of research on that too, and the attacks happen when the water's murky, and it's usually just a bite, you know, that it mistakes you for something else.
Yeah, but just a bite, and even though they mistake you, you're still gonna possibly lose a leg.
I'm just saying that when you're in water where you've got like 20 to 40 feet of visibility, they're not going to mistake you for lunch.
I know. I'm just saying that just a mistake could still lose you like a quad.
From this moment on, you will now be known as Sharkbait.
Sharkbait! Ooh-ha-ha!
Welcome, brother Sharkbait.
Sharkbait! Ooh-ha-ha!
Enough of the Sharkbait.
Sharkbait! Ooh, bop.
So I still think that that's not going to make me feel better. But
I went scuba diving with sharks, and they're awesome.
Yeah.
I was like a foot away from sharks.
Yeah, tell me about your scuba trips.
Well,
tell everyone about your scuba trips.
I'll preface this by saying that was one. It's certainly in the top 3 experiences of my life were the scuba trips in Maui, and I've done a lot of scuba. Like not a lot, like many people.
Do you scuba?
Do you scuba? I've scuba dived all around the world.
Scuba dived, scuba dove,
scuba divin. And
that hurts my face.
And I ended up connecting with this guy, Maui Scuba Mike, and connected with him like a couple months ago. And we've been doing, sort of phone tag, text tag back and forth.
He's kind of like if the Do You Scuba guy grew up like another 30 years.
Right. Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
but he's
totally.
He reminded me of sort of that guy and Sisu.
Yeah.
Like, or Jacques Cousteau.
A mix.
Mixed with Sisu.
Are you guys for scuba?
What does that mean?
I'm like the unofficial scuba king of Saint-Barth.
Yeah. Yeah.
But super nice guy and very knowledgeable. And anyway, long story short, I did 5 dives with them. I did 2 underwater scooter certification dives. So the DPV dives, the James Bond dive, which was freaking amazing. I was panicked about this to begin with, because I'm just like, I don't know, like, am I going to go shooting out of the water? Am I going to get the bends? Like, what's going to happen?
Well, you even commented, you're like, well, if I don't like it, I'm just going to drop it and he can pick it up later. I'm like, you're going to drop like $1,000, $7,000, like,
yeah,
piece of equipment.
I'm all about saving myself.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, I'm like, well, you do you, man.
Yeah. Anyway, so that never happened, because when we got into the water, like the lesson was really straightforward. The controls also straightforward. You don't go rocketing through the water like a torpedo. It just, basically assists you so you don't have to fin as much.
I still am visualizing you guys just rocketing through.
Well, here's the thing. Second dive, we rode it. So you put it between your legs and you shoot through the water like Superman. So it's
I'm
like
being powered by my farts.
Totally. Anyway, so that was really great. And we went off of McKenna Landing, which was great. And then we went up and I did an underwater naturalist certification.
That means he was naked the whole time.
Sea cucumber. And I'm trying to remember the name of the place, Maladoc or something like that. And anyway, so I did underwater naturalist dives, and I went with this guy named Scott, who is assisting Mike. And I said, can we do it with sharks? He's just like, yeah, we could probably find some sharks. I'm like, sweet. So we ended up going down to this place. And so it's an old pier, and the pier has fallen into the ocean. They've since rebuilt half of it, but the other half is still in the ocean. It's turned into a reef and an incredible habitat for a whole fuck ton of animals, including one of my favorite things ever, a turtle cleaning station. So turtles float into this place, they land like airplanes, and they sit on this spot, and fish come up and clean them. And when they're clean, the turtles take off and another turtle comes in. It's incredible.
Whoa! That was so cool! Hey, Dad, did you see that? Did you see me? Did you see what I did?
You so totally rock, Squirt! So give me some fin. Noggin. Dude.
It's absolutely unbelievable to look at. And anyway, so while we're down there, Scott ends up making this, thing on his head where it's like there's a shark over there. I'm just like, holy shit, like this is actually going to happen. This is amazing. And I'm like, at once I'm kind of like, holy shit.
I would have laughed if he was like 3 inches long.
Well, I was kind of expecting that. I wasn't expecting, a 6-foot white tip. Which looks a lot bigger underwater.
Yeah.
But still a very respectable sized shark.
Did you like lose your shit? Did you like suddenly your balls went into your throat?
No,
that sounds bad, but
yeah, no, so the moment was, oh shit, there's a shark. And then immediately replaced by this calm. Like it was like, oh, like mystery solved. Like they're kind of like big dogs, really. And it was swimming sort of in and out and around this cave network. This underwater place. So he's going through fish and stuff like that. He's not attacking anything. He'd come by about a foot or two away from us and then go back into the thing. And then we swam over to the other side and watched him swim out and around. And then when we were done there, we went finning across the wreckage again. And, there's a couple more sharks that are swimming below us, like a couple feet away. And they're just like cruising along doing shark things, and it was freaking amazing. It was impossibly beautiful.
So how many sharks did you see?
6.
6.
Yeah, 6 white tips.
That's 36 feet worth of shark.
Yeah, if they Wonder Twin powers activated. What else? I saw a scorpion fish. So last time I saw a scorpion fish was in the Caribbean, where I almost touched one, and the dive master. That was my very first dive ever.
God, that is so dumb of you.
Well, I didn't know, but he came up. He's just like, no, don't touch that. You'll die. Underwater hand signals. And afterwards, he was just like, that's like one of the most deadliest fish on the planet. I'm like, oh. So this time when I saw one, I like looked down and I was like, oh my God, it's like one of those to Scott. And Scott's just like, yeah, don't touch it. You'll die. I'm like, sweet. Tons of eels, like eels everywhere. And they just hang out with their mouths open.
Eels up inside ya, finding an entrance where they can. Eels up inside ya, finding an entrance where they can. Boring through your mind, through your tummy, through your anus. Eels. 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 Give it up now.
So then my last dive was a night dive. Because I was checking shit off my list, and at first I thought I was going to get my night dive certification, but the schedules didn't line up and whatever.
I do want to add that like this Mike guy, his company was so great. You were so happy. Yeah, you were so happy with them that you originally just had the one dive.
Yeah.
Or the one day set up, and you liked them so much that you set up all these other ones. So.
Great. And if you're a first time diver, like he will take you out in the, like on the, where we were diving McKenna Landing and places like that. It is so calm and protected. It's right by Turtletown.
Turtletown.
It's beautiful. Like it's really stunning. And because I think our maximum depth was only like 35 feet. And, you know, you can do that as a recreational scuba diver or as a first time diver. You know, there's very little chance of you getting the bends.
And we snorkeled, so it's perfect. Yeah.
It was outstanding. Anyway, so I was absolutely terrified about night diving. So I decided to do it because I figured I'd just check this shit off my list. And everybody always says, oh, night diving is the best.
Ugh. Yeah, you were terrified.
So I wasn't terrified in the beginning. I think I was terrified at the thought of it. But once I got in the water, I'm just like, oh, this isn't bad. It's not great because you literally can only see what your flashlight shines on.
See, and to me, it's like a big horror movie. Like when you're in a haunted house or a cave, like that cave movie called, I'm pretty sure, The Cave. And you just have the flashlight.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Video games with the flashlight and fuck.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you people, Dan and Paul? Say night dives are the best. Ugh.
Well, and because lots of people say you see more stuff than you do during the day. And the only thing the only thing I saw different was we saw an octopus. And it is not a giant Pacific octopus by any stretch of the imagination. It was like a thumb-sized octopus. Super cute and mad because it would turned red.
Oh.
And then fucked off into the coral.
So cute.
Yeah. But otherwise, it was fairly peaceful. I was like, one thing I noticed is that like all the stuff that I saw swimming around earlier, like my earlier dives, they're all hidden in coral.
Because they're sleeping.
Yeah, we saw lots of pufferfish, but I don't know if they're sleeping or just staying out of the way of shit that will eat them, which kind of got in my head a little bit, right?
So you said that they were probably mad because you were shining lights on them, and they're like, don't shine lights on me. I'm out, but I can't be seen by the guys that are out trying to eat me.
You dick. And now I can't see because you shone your light.
So I'm going to hide now.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Man, you were ruining their evening.
I know. And I felt bad about it. Like I literally kind of felt like shitty about that. I'm just like, oh, sorry.
And meanwhile, behind you are all the scary things that are out to eat them. So they're probably like, yeah, you couldn't imagine all the things behind you following that light.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Don't think that I didn't.
I have this vision in my head of like these piles and piles of like carnivorous, like fucking scary shit. Just,
and Cthulhu, probably. So we end up. We had been in this cave in an earlier dive on the rocket ships. And earlier that day in this cave were 6 white-tipped sharks. Again, do they travel in 6s? I don't know. But anyway, so there's 6 sharks in this cave.
One more would have been 42.
What? Anyway, Where was I? Oh,
sorry.
So we go into this cave and it's nighttime. And earlier that day, there's sharks in the cave, which is fine because now I like sharks because sharks, well, I've always liked sharks, but sharks are dogs and it's all good. But we go into this cave and yes, I had been there before, but we never went into the cave. We just sort of went, circled in and out. Scott keeps going deeper and deeper into this cave. And I'm making it sound like it's really treacherous and whatever. It's really not. Like during the day, it's like, no problem. But apparently I have a 100% phobia of confined spaces, especially underwater and at night.
I'm surprised more people don't.
So I started having a panic attack, like legit. Well, because here's the other thing. I've been in dives where you've had zero visibility. So you can't even see your bubbles. So you don't know what direction up is.
Oh, you're making me nauseous.
Oh, so I've had mild panic attacks before underwater in those circumstances. And now we're into this cave and it's nighttime and I shine my light up and all I see is cave above me. And then, your fins stir up a little bit of the sand from the bottom. So then the visibility gets not as good. So I start freaking out. And as I start freaking out, I remembered two things. And the first thing is let Scott know that I was not in a good place. And so I start waving my flashlight fast back and forth to let him know I'm like in a bad spot. He sees it, turns around, looks at me, goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not."
You can't see his hand signals right now, but there are hand signals that go along with this.
Right. And so he's just like, okay, like settle down. So I end up turning around so I can see the mouth of the cave that we just came in, because I figured if everything goes to shit, at least I'll know the way out. Right. So those are my two things.
And there's like a giant whale shark there with unusually large teeth, which they don't usually have, just waiting for you to go out.
Right. Now, the other thing that I didn't mention is when we came into the cave, under the ledges of the cave are filled with turtles. They're all sleeping. They're all like chilling out down there.
They're so cute.
Anyway, so and the third thing, I took care of those two things, like let them know I'm in trouble, turn around so I know my exit. And third thing was calm the fuck down, like just relax. And maybe that was the first thing, is like keep my head on, like don't freak out, don't panic.
A lot of people who panic tear their respirators off.
Oh yeah.
So.
And it was certainly like, I got to tell you that the spike of adrenaline that I had and the desire to tear everything off and get to the surface was almost overwhelming.
Ugh.
So probably first thing was just calm the fuck down, follow your list,
Go
down your list. That's why you have a list. And that's why you have training. And anyway, so as I'm sitting there calming myself down, waiting for Scott to catch back up with me, because I'm fucking out, like doesn't matter. A giant shape comes right beside me and I'm like, oh fuck. And I look up, it's a huge turtle. Like it is a giant fucking green sea turtle, like the size of the hood of a car. And he's like beside me. He's like, "Hey dude." And he's like this total calming influence, like just hanging out there, minding his own business. I like look at him. I blow some bubbles and they go up under his fin, like his little pectoral fins and stuff like that. And he's like, looks at me and I look at him and I'm like, okay, I can do this. Cool. And he swims away. And I'm like, and then I swim out of the cave. Now it did take me another 15 minutes of that dive to calm totally down again, to be able to function and enjoy myself. But that was my night diving cave experience. And a turtle. The turtle that saved my life.
Aww. That's so cute.
Yeah.
I will mention that you had flashbacks of that cave later that night.
Oh, yeah.
Like at home and in the condo as well. Like,
oh, I even had like a flashback panic attack at the airport leaving Maui.
Yeah.
Like it left marks.
So interestingly enough, so I was talking to some people on Facebook about this, and like I said, Dan and Paul were like, "Oh my God, night diving is the best." Like, and I'm sure they were also trying to help me out too, because my Facebook post was like in caps, "What's wrong with Dropbear? Why would he do this? Like, oh my God, it's nighttime and there are sharks and this is stupid." And after that, I get a text from you, and if I recall correctly, all your text said was,
"I'm alive." Yeah.
But you didn't text, "I'm alive. That was a lot of fun. I'll be home in an hour."
Right.
All you wrote was, "I'm alive." And I know you fairly well, obviously. Yeah. So I mean, I think I wrote back, yay,
Yeah.
but that's all I heard from you.
Yeah.
So I knew that something either didn't go well, you didn't like it,
Yeah.
or you're alive, but you're missing an arm, or
Right.
you're alive, but you know, it.
And here's
you hurt yourself, you're bleeding,
Right.
or you're alive, but Scott lost his thing. You know, something
Right,
happened,
right.
It didn't go swimmingly, or you didn't like it, or something.
I see what you did
yeah,
there.
but something wasn't
Yeah.
right or wasn't good.
Yeah. And really what it was I remembered to text you to let you know that I was alive because we left for our dive a lot later than I thought we were going to.
Mm-hmm.
And we were down there for 65 minutes.
That's a long time.
Yeah. It was a fucking amazing dive. Like really.
All your other dives were like 40,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and the nice part is that I mean we get smaller tanks because your air doesn't get compressed because we're not going as deep, which is nice. Like I like the shallower dives because you get to stay down longer.
Okay, Google, how deep can you dive underwater before air gets toxic?
Approximately 218 feet. Here's a summary from the website liveabout.com. The oxygen in air may become toxic at depths beginning at approximately 218 feet. Depth is a stress factor in scuba diving.
That's not what they tell us in PADI training because you can it starts turning toxic at 100 feet because you start getting nitrogen narcosis around then, which is basically getting drunk off your air.
Yeah.
Which causes you to do some stupid things. So I'm not arguing with Google, but that's not entirely accurate. And you wouldn't scuba dive you shouldn't be scuba diving below 100 feet
Yeah.
on regular air.
I would take 100 feet over 218 feet for sure.
I've been at 100. I've been at 100 feet for very little time. That's the other thing. You're down at 100 feet for like 5 minutes, then you got to come back up. You have to do your decompression stops.
Ugh,
And it's not as fun, and it's a lot more stressful.
No.
When
No,
I've
thanks.
been diving with the giant Pacific octopus, it's usually around 70 to 80 feet,
Yeah.
which also doesn't give you a lot of bottom time. Anyway, that's to suffice to say that Maui Scuba Mike and Scott were great dive buddies, and I got 2 certifications. I had 5 dives. They were all freaking wonderful. The cave thing left a psychic imprint, 100%. But that's all on me, and that's and Scott was wonderful about the whole thing. Throughout the rest of it, we talked about it on the swim back. Like once we surfaced, he was just like, "So how was it?" I'm just like, "It was really great," except I had a panic attack. He's like, "Oh, I didn't realize you were panicked."
Yeah, he thought you were just like, I'm not into the cave.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back out.
Yeah, but I was pretty clear. I'm just like, nope. that was a hard no.
The rest of our trip was we relaxed for the last couple days because we got in a bunch of our check off lists.
Yeah.
We did some more scuba diving. We hit some more restaurants that we wanted to do. We went to Three's Bar and Grill, which was really, really good. We went to SANSEI that had some really good sushi.
Yeah.
Because, when in Maui, eat the sushi.
Their musicians that play on the decks are so great. Like all
not
the
at SANSEI,
not
but
at SANSEI, but all the different places that we went to.
Oh yeah,
and unobtrusive.
The nice thing is, it's quiet music.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound like an old person, but when you're there to sit and have cocktails and dinner, you don't want really loud music.
Yeah.
You don't want to yell at each other. So it was really nice. It was quiet. You're right. It was unintrusive. It's really, really good. Good choice. We
went up to the blowhole.
Yes, we tried to do a bit of the road to Hana.
Yeah.
Which was quite terrifying. There's a whole lot of one-way bridges that people don't always pay attention to. And the blowhole, if you get too close.
And that's not on the road to Hana, though.
Technically it is.
Really? Is it all part of that same system?
It's part of the same system, remember? Because we went to go see the blowhole, and then we just continued on, which was on the road to Hana. Right, because we were going to
come down that side of the island, yeah.
And we came across quite a surprise.
That's right.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Take it away, Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so first of all, the weather systems in Maui are crazy. Like you can have like sunshine, no wind in one place, drive 15 minutes, and be in the middle of like what feels like a hurricane and, pouring rain and rainforest. And then, another 15 minutes, you're in arid desert. It's pretty remarkable. Mm-hmm. But we were going around this crazy road and, it's like 15 miles an hour, sometimes 10 miles an hour tops. And around the corner is this cyclist who's on the side of the road. And there's really no shoulders. So he had like the one place you can pull over. As I'm driving by, I like look out my window. I give him the thumbs up. I'm like, the "Are you okay?" thumbs up. And he gives me the "I'm okay, maybe" thumbs up. And so I'm just, drive down the road. I'm just like, oh, shit. That guy didn't look okay at all. It looked like he needed some help. So I found a place where I could safely turn the Jeep around.
Which is never really safe because there are no shoulders.
Yeah.
It was...
cliff on one side, mountain up the other side.
Yeah. Beautiful, but...
Yeah, gorgeous. And traffic, blind corners, all the rest of it. Anyway, so I safely turn around, go back up the hill, and we pull up to this cyclist. He's got all the cycle gear on. He's got his bike, which looks like it's seen better days, back tire flat, stuff like that.
It was his 5th flat of the day.
Yeah. And his name is Jay.
Yes.
And it was his birthday.
Yeah.
He turned 37 that day.
Yes, he did.
And his newly discovered lust for life is every birthday he's going to tackle something new and challenging to make sure he's still alive. And that was on his list.
And he could have easily died on that day.
That's right. But he had been out for most of the day. Like, he made good progress.
Yes, he did.
But we loaded him up into the Jeep and we went back down the road and...
In the direction he was going.
Because, we were just going to come around the east side of the island down into Paia, Kahului, into Paia, whatever. Anyway.
I think we were going to go to Walua, I think, which is where his wife Miranda was going to meet.
Right.
With her Jeep or van.
She was a chase vehicle.
Yeah, exactly.
We should note that they're very responsible people. They're from Washington.
Yeah, Bellingham, Washington.
Yeah, which is right by the border. So they're almost Canadian.
Yeah.
And but basically he said, I'm doing this on my own. You don't have to follow me. But if you don't see me by a certain time, this is the route I'm taking. Come check for me.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
He also had no cell service where we picked him up. Anyway, so we were going back down this road and it turns into a 1-lane road, like literally 1 lane.
All of a sudden.
Like out of nowhere.
You were like, what the this is
with no place to pull over. Like, and so it's like this little hairpin that goes down into a valley and up the other side. And I noticed on the other side that all the traffic stopped. So I pull off the whatever shoulder I could find just to wait, see what's going on because there's people out of their vehicles. They're, I don't know what they are, like maybe half a kilometer away.
Yep.
And now cars start backing down the mountain trail.
1 tiny lane.
Oh my God. So
down the mountain.
We waited there for, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so. And, cars started piling up behind us, wondering what's going on. And we point out, what's happening on the other side. And, we ended up just flipping a shitty and going back the way that we came.
Felt longer than 10 minutes anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so we ended up getting back and dropping Jay off with his wife Miranda at the Maui Brewing Company.
Which was delicious. We had a pint there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which was great. It's a huge building. Like, they got to supply a lot of beer to the islanders.
Oh, yeah. And it was massive.
Yeah.
It turns out that Miranda, his wife, runs Bright and Sunny Ginger Beer.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so we'll put links to that in the show notes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, it's organic.
Yeah. And they're great and wonderful people. And while we were leaving, we bought them a couple beers for Jay's birthday because we only stuck around for a little bit because we didn't want to ruin the rest of his birthday. And I was like, "Thank you for not murdering us."
Yeah.
Because I've never picked up a hitchhiker before, and I'm sure he was glad that we didn't murder him. But he just looked at me and he's like, "Oh, this is the long game." And then I was like, "Oh, you guys are my kind of people."
Yeah, they're awesome. Then we ran into them in the airport on the way back.
Right, we were on the same flight on the way back.
Because they're getting off in Vancouver and driving back.
Yeah.
Anyway, hilarious and great little encounter, and that's just kind of the snippet of the type of people that you run into in Maui. They're just lovely.
Yeah.
The roosters are amazing.
Yeah, roosters everywhere.
Every morning,
Too many cocks.
Too many cocks.
Yeah.
You had cock every morning.
Oh, I sure did.
Sometimes
at
more,
4.
And sometimes more than one.
Sometimes 2 at the same time.
Yeah. Sometimes there's a cockfight.
All day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cocks and trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, which was weird. And huge spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a bush full of spiders. And the only thing I wanted to add was we were going to actually do a short film while we were there.
Yep.
Like a 30-seconder.
Yeah.
But we just got too wrapped up in the awesomeness that is Maui.
Yeah. I didn't even work. I put out a podcast on the Monday because I hadn't gotten it out on the Sunday before we left.
Yeah.
So I spent like the morning, afternoonish dealing with that. And after that, I don't think I opened my laptop.
Yeah, I still think that short film, though, was a cute idea.
Yeah.
I still want to do that.
We'll do it.
We have many ideas.
Yeah.
Not enough time to do it.
Yep. Found some great places to shoot films.
Yeah.
While we were there, like everywhere.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway.
Well, maybe if we weren't on isolation / not isolation, we would be able to do them.
DVP News right now.
We land on the 11th.
Yes, we were delayed on the tarmac for an hour.
Yeah.
If I was going to be delayed in Vancouver, I would rather be delayed in the airport than on the tarmac in the airplane.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
And so we arrived an hour late, but we arrived on March 11th, which is the key to this entire thing.
That's right. Because had we landed on March 12th, we would have been basically quarantined.
Yeah, definitely quarantined. So I will also note that I came down with a head cold about 2 or 3 days into the Maui trip.
Yeah, sinus extravaganza.
Holy cow, everything was full in my face. Didn't really have a cough till a couple days afterwards, but it was all sinus stuff, no fever or anything like that. So it's just a cold, which I clearly caught in Calgary, and it just showed up in Maui.
Yeah.
Thought it was allergies at first, but it wasn't the case. So, arrive back in Calgary March 11th. Go back to work March 12th.
Yep.
And then at the end of the day, March 12th, which is the Thursday, Alberta Health Services made an announcement that anyone coming back from a trip on March 12th is recommended, not forced to, should automatically go on a 14-day self-isolation at home thing. Call 811, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So they didn't necessarily say March 12th, I think, but they said anyone coming back should do this.
Yeah.
So I texted my boss because I was on my way home. I'm like, I haven't heard anything about this. What the hell's going on? She's like, I haven't heard anything either. Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So she said, and this was Thursday, so I still had one more day of work on Friday.
Yeah.
So she looked into it, bunch of back and forth texting. She was texting her bosses, calling around, doing all this stuff. She said, you and Michael need to cancel your plans just in case for Thursday evening.
Yeah.
You were supposed to have a rehearsal, which you told them that you weren't going to go to.
Until we figured this
shit out.
Yeah.
So she said, finally, Thursday evening, as it is right now, you are not quarantined. You are good to come to work on Friday.
Right.
So I said, okay. I told Michael, we're not quarantined because we came in on the Wednesday. We're good. We're not fevered. We're not blah, blah, blah. But we're supposed to just make sure
Watch for symptoms.
Watch for symptoms. Blah, blah. Watch for a fever. Watch for a dry cough and a sore throat, which we didn't have. I go to work Friday and get a call from another boss at about 1:30 in the afternoon, basically saying, we've changed our minds. You are now on quarantine. We want you to finish up your work here and go home.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
all right.
Okay. So I wasn't surprised that we weren't quarantined, but I was surprised that we were. You know, I was not surprised on both decisions in each day. So I called Michael, Dropbear, and said, FYI, I am being sent home because we traveled together. I am passing on that message to you. You are not forced to also be quarantined. However, I am letting you know, and you can do with this as you will.
Right. Which is, pretty much pulled the plug for me to be like, okay, well, because I work from home, this is fairly simple.
Yes.
Thing to deal with. I can't do rehearsals, and I'm going to maybe miss a show, but maybe that's going to be canceled anyway. Who knows what's going to happen?
Exactly.
But so, yeah, so it's a hard thing to figure out, like what you're supposed to do. And I guess, my go-to at this point is I will limit my exposure to other people for the next 14 days.
Right.
Well, 11 days when this is released.
So we had gone, you had gone grocery shopping on Thursday.
Yeah.
And bought a bunch of stuff because our house was empty of groceries because we had also just been away.
Yeah.
So you bought like canned goods, you bought toilet paper, you bought like all the normal stuff to just we needed because we didn't have any
Kraft dinner.
We didn't have anything, right? So as I'm driving home to start my quarantine, or officially start my quarantine, I thought, I kind of get why people are going to the store and buying out Safeways and Sobeys and stuff. Because if people are suddenly quarantined with no notice, like I just was, do we have enough food to last us 14 to 16 to 20 days?
Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah. So a bit of a wake-up call.
Yeah. So we had enough to last us like a week.
Yeah.
I mean, we have enough rice to last us for 6 weeks probably.
Yeah.
But I don't get the fights. I don't get why you would stock up 6 months of toilet paper. I don't understand a lot of what people are doing. But I understand why people are buying 20 days worth of food.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Because we weren't entirely prepared for 14 to 20 days.
Well, yeah. And I think that when it comes down to the logistics of this, the wake-up call that I had was, if there's an interruption in the regular supply chain, typically, people don't have weeks worth of food set aside.
We also have a small house. We don't have a cold storage.
Yeah.
We don't have a deep freeze.
So that was a bit of okay, like this actually is something we should consider in the future.
Mm-hmm. And our fresh fruits and vegetables are going to go bad in 3 days. So that's kiboshed anyway.
Yeah.
So, so that was something to think about for sure. So, and we do have people that we can fall back on at this point.
I was going to say, we got a lot of messages from people saying, oh my God, if you guys need anything, let me know. We'll pick it up for you. We'll drop it off. So, I mean,
drop it off on the front step.
Here's the great part about this whole thing is that really it's about community, and it's about the connections you have with people in your life. And, the fact that, people would reach out and let us know that they've got our back.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So
now,
thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Now we're not like Italy where everything is shut down in a lot of the provinces completely.
Yeah. Right.
So we're not there. We do have people who can come drop stuff off for us if we need, like my sisters and a couple friends, that kind of thing. So the question is that we were thinking about today and yesterday was what is considered hoarding and what is not, right? Yeah. Like the pictures of people with toilet paper and paper towel that is like 3 stories high on their shopping cart. That's hoarding. People who are buying toilet paper and then selling it online for $10 extra. Yeah. Oh, there's lots of those people though. Kijiji just sent out a notice saying that they are flagging people who are doing that on Kijiji and shutting them down, which is great. But I get people who are buying extra cans of stuff and extra, boxes of this and that kind of stuff, because if you end up having to go into self-isolation suddenly, you need to be able to feed yourself, right? Yeah. So we were prepared to be on self-isolation for 14 days. On one hand, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be so bored. I have books, I have Netflix, but not to be able to leave the house for 14 days would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
And then Friday night, I get another text from my boss saying they've changed their mind again. You can come into work on Monday. And I was like, what the fuck? That wasn't really my response, but I was like, okay, so 12 hours difference is going to make a difference. So I'm assuming that they've just made some sort of decision. And what Alberta Health Servicing said that afternoon on Friday was, quote, any traveler who has returned before March 12th is not advised to self-isolate unless they have returned from Italy, Iran, China's Hubei province, or the Grand Princess cruise ship.
Right.
Anyone who has returned on March 12th or afterwards
right.
would be on isolation.
Yeah.
So if, again, like we said, if we arrived on March 12th, if we had extended just, if we had changed, if our flight just happened to be that we arrived on the 12th, we would be on isolation.
Right. And I think that, you know, from an epidemiologist's point of view, because they look at how all this stuff spreads and what those, they've got all sorts of mathematical models to figure out blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You got to choose a date. You know what I mean? Like I think they made a
decision.
They made a decision. Here's an informed, you know, if you don't like set a date, here's what the possible model looks like. If you do set a date, here's what the new model might look like.
They're looking on pros and cons and
all that
probabilities
sort
of everything, right?
And you know, the spread of it. And again, it's not really impacting the young and healthy. It's more so for the very young or the very old or the sick that, you know, we got to look out for each other. We're a herd.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're just forwarding information as it comes out. They're making changes as the information changes. Yeah. We've never done this before.
Yep.
Alberta's Health Services has never done this before. Everyone's doing the best they can.
Yep.
Things might still change. So what I told my boss and the doctors that I work for is I will isolate myself this weekend in case I get another text saying they've changed their mind again.
Yeah.
Don't come into work on Monday.
Yeah.
So we're doing this podcast instead.
Yep. And if one of us does come down with it, then we know pretty clearly where we've been. So we're limiting our exposure in the outside world so that if we do catch it or if we were infected somehow, we'd be like, well, on Thursday, first thing in the morning when I went shopping, that was the last time I was outside.
Yep.
So we know that I was, you know, here at that time. Everything else is, you know, just Dropbear and Panda's Castle of Wonder.
Yeah. And the screening criteria is people with fever and or a cough or shortness of breath are at the highest risk of having COVID-19 if they meet any of the following criteria. In the 14 days before illness onset, they traveled anywhere outside of Canada. Or, and they've got a whole bunch of stuff here on the Alberta Health Services
We'll put a
site.
link.
But the cold that I have doesn't have a fever.
Yeah.
It has a slight cough, but it's wet and it's dry, or it's not dry.
Drip stuff.
Yeah, and I don't have a shortness of breath, but this onset happened before I traveled anywhere.
Right.
So I'm free and clear, but that doesn't mean that something might not happen later. But at least I know that I'm good.
Yeah.
And at least I know that we've actually done all we can at this point. So.
And that's maybe like a great segue into saving the world.
It's time
for Dropbear and Panda to save the world.
Don't panic. Follow some guidelines, even though they might be changing and shifting and the world is an uncertain place. It's always been that way. Don't freak out. Help each other. Don't hoard shit. Yeah, that's my advice for saving the world this week.
Yeah, saving the world not only means saving yourself, but I mean helping other people out too. I mean, I was talking to my mom on the phone because I was like, well, you know, because March 12th was her birthday. And so
National Quarantine Day.
Yeah. Hey, Mom, this is one you'll never forget. And she's worried, but I mean, like she doesn't go out a whole lot. But I mean, she's older, you know. I mean, she obviously can't get it, or she would be in a lot of trouble. But the nice thing is the way she lives her life. I mean, the chances of her getting are probably pretty low.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go hang out with her, mostly because, I mean, I know that I don't have it right now, but we did go through an airport, which is why we have to keep monitoring ourselves, right?
Vigilant.
It's not about me, right? And this is why you gotta vaccinate against flus and stuff like that too. Just because I'm low risk doesn't mean that I can't carry it to somebody else.
Yep. Exactly.
So don't hoard. Other people need that stuff too.
Yep.
You know? So save the world. It's a world that you need to save. It's not just you.
Who's gonna save the world tonight? Who's gonna bring it back to life?
You know who else is saving the world?
Who?
Friday Sock Company.
What?
Yep, they're doing it one step at a time by making every day feel like Friday.
Dropbear and Panda gonna save the world. Wearing intentionally mismatched socks. Ethically made. The Friday Sock Company saving the world one step at a time.
And you know who else works with us and Friday Sock Company?
Rob Mitchelson.
Rob Mitchelson. So this actually happened while we were in Maui.
Yep.
He released... Oh, I thought you were going to do it. The Space Force song.
Yeah, the unauthorized Space Force theme song.
Yes.
Produced by Dropbear and Panda, recorded by Rob Mitchelson.
And you know what? I bet you can buy it without leaving your house.
That's right. So it's 100% COVID-free song.
Oh my God, maybe he'll make a song about that too. Oh dear.
So link in the show notes. Buy the album, buy the song. Support arts.
Don't spread COVID. Don't spread the flu. Don't spread colds.
Yeah.
Don't spread misinformation.
Right.
But spread all the music.
Yeah. Do it. Spread it.
Wow. Okay, Google, say sayonara.
On the website Quora.com, they say, "Otsukare-sama deshita," used in the working place, expresses the appreciation of your coworkers' hard work when you leave for the day. The closest English translation would be, "Thank you for your hard work," or more simply saying, "You worked hard." To learn more about the use of Otsukare-sama desu.
Wow.
That was, unexpected.
Thank you, Google.
I've been Panda.
I've been Dropbear.
This has been Dropbear and Panda.
Save the world.
Space Force, the men of the Space Force, the greatest force in space. We're probably the greatest force in space. We do great space. Men and also women of the Space Force. In space, there's no collusion. We built a wall in outer space. Martians are bad hombres. A lot of people are saying sad fake news in space. Believe me, by the way, China's moon base is not going to happen. Space Force, big league Space Force, tremendous men in space. The Martians do not have a clue. Believe me, I know Mars.
Huge thanks to our sponsor, the Friday Sock Company.
This podcast was recorded at the Dropbear and Panda Kensington studio.
Special thanks to Emery Cords for the kick-ass theme music.
Don't forget to subscribe.
It's Dropbear and Panda, yeah. Like a locomotive on a motherfucking bender. Yeah, I set my cool tongue out my chap, borrow me. Yeah, with Michael Doggies, yeah, you can check in on the flow, yo. Chicken flow, she was quick, you can't pick my medical ranges, angles, tangles. You get tangled, twisted side of flexes, child should be. Can't compete with the owls that devour. Yeah, with the owls that devour, yeah. Yeah, it's a Dropbear and Panda, coming at your randa. Dropbear and Panda, coming at your randa. Dropbear and Panda, coming at your randa. It's like a locomotive blowing out to my local chopper. Dropbear and Panda, coming at your randa. It's like a locomotive blowing out to my local chopper. Dropbear and Panda.